Hey guys, welcome back to another video. My name is David and Rufty, and this video is being made for my BUS200 course. This video should be encompassed around Chapter 18, which is Management of Technology and Innovation, but this go around we're not really going to be pulling from the chapter. This is kind of like a final exam video, so even though it is derived from Chapter 18, I'm not going to spend any effort pulling from the text or citing from the text or anything along those lines. I'm simply going to think about the chapter, and I'm going to speak freely based on my experience and based on what I do for a living given the field that I work in. Now, I do know what I'm going to speak on in a few minutes is going to be relevant. It may not be relevant. It depends on what field you work in. This is going to be relevant in my field. So even though I've been in my field for well over 10 years, I'm mainly going to stick with that field and I'm going to kind of talk around that. So with that being said, let's get into it. Now, the first thing I want to touch on here is technology as a whole. I'm not speaking in reference to my job yet, I'm just talking about technology. Now, I'm 39 years old, so I've been able to pay attention to technology over the past 3 decades, and it's impressive. To go from having corded phones in your house and that's all you could communicate with to now having smartphones. Not only are they smartphones, they have the internet, they have video games. You can do your banking on your phone, you can do your job, you can even clock in from your phone. So it's amazing to see how technology has changed in that manner, but also in other manners like video games. I can remember 30 years ago, video games were very basic 64-bit video games, and now I don't even know how to explain what bit the video games are now. But the fact of the matter is, the graphics, the processing, everything has just exploded into this crazy variation of what it was 30 years ago. So technology does things that help us with work, it does things that help us with our personal lives, and it does things to just give us entertainment as a whole. So I think technology as a whole is pretty amazing. It's grown over the past 30 years, and I definitely see it growing more over the next 30 years. So that being said, I'm very excited to see where technology goes, not in reference to work, but just in reference to our personal lives and what it has to offer for us. So I'm really happy to see where we go there. The next thing I'd like to talk about is the future of technology in reference to my career. First and foremost, I'd like to say that I'm a maintenance technician too at a property downtown in Manchester. We're a 14-story high-rise, and I love what I do. I've always enjoyed working with my hands. I never saw myself as somebody who sits at a desk 40 hours a week. I don't have a problem with sitting at a desk, I just don't like it. With that being said, I'm a maintenance technician, so the majority of what I do is hands-on. You're not really at a computer. Technology isn't really that relevant. You're just kind of doing your thing, you're figuring it out, and you're piecing things back together. However, there is a lot of times when technology is relevant. When it comes to me closing out my work orders, when it comes to me looking up information for new work orders, when it comes for me buying supplies for work orders that we don't have, when it comes to us looking up information we haven't really touched on yet, that's when technology comes into hand here. But the majority of my career, and when I say the majority, I'd like to say probably 75% right now, doesn't involve technology. So technology is kind of a minimal amount of what my job entails. With that being said, the parts of my job that do entail technology are extremely important. Now, I'd like to give everybody a quick example of what somebody in my profession does on a day-to-day. Basically, you come into work, you check in. If there's anything to work on, you work on it. If there's not anything to work on, you find something to work on. So it's a pretty relaxed career. With that being said, the more that you know about technology, the easier it makes your job. There's a lot of older properties where people don't utilize technology and it makes their job a lot harder. Whereas my property, all of my technicians, we utilize technology to the best of our abilities. Let me give an example. PMs, preventative maintenance. If anyone that's ever worked, or I'm sorry, lived at an apartment complex, you know that all apartment complexes have preventative maintenance. So every 90 days, we have to come in there and do our thing, right? Well, a lot of the older properties, they do it by hand, pen and paper still. Yet my property, we use our telephone app. So all I do is I pull out my phone, we go unit to unit, we do our thing, and it literally takes me all of about 30 to 40 seconds to fill out the paperwork for the PM. Whereas the other properties where they like to do the manual writing it down by hand, I'd estimate it probably takes them 3 to 4 minutes per unit because they actually have to check off everything and they have to write down their notes and all that stuff. So right off the bat, by me utilizing technology and by me being innovative with it in my property, it's making our job easier It's making us faster and it's making us more efficient. On the contrary, the other properties that aren't using this technology or these apps, it's making them slower, less efficient, and they're just not getting nearly as much done. So this is a perfect example why technology is good in my field. Again, 75% of my field is physical. You don't really need technology. However, in cases like this, technology is a huge, huge help. Also, with that being said, in my field, I think technology could be detrimental for certain other things. Other things would be inventory purposes. Now, I work at a fairly newer property, so the newer properties, to those who don't know, the newer properties, we don't really have stock. A lot of people, when you move into a newer property, you think, oh yeah, these guys got 10 fridges downstairs where if my fridge goes out, we can swap out the fridge, no big deal. Oh, these guys must have hundreds of PVC pipes laying around down there to fix whenever my PVC pipe breaks. Unfortunately, that's not true. As a matter of fact, newer properties have lower budgets, which means we have less supplies to fix when something breaks. That being said, I think that technology could be very helpful in my field because, for an example, let me just say a 90-degree PVC pipe. Let's just say we only have 5 of those in stock because lately over the past year or so, that's kind of how it's been. We only have the budget for a certain amount of pieces, so we literally have about 5 or 10 90-degree PVC pieces in stock. So as of right now, when we start to use those pieces, we kind of have to manually keep an eye on the pieces. We literally have to go into the shop every day or so and kind of recount them. So then once we get down to a couple left, we can go to the supervisor and let them know that we've got to order more. But technology would be huge here. How would it be huge? Inventory purposes. If we could somehow make an algorithm or make a code to where my system would know when I fix this ticket over here, if the system knew that I was using two 90-inch PVC 90s, the system would automatically know to reorder those 90s. And whether it could email my supervisor and letting them know, it could email us and let us know, whatever the case may be, it doesn't matter. But that's one perfect example how technology could be useful in my field. Another way that where technology could be useful in my field is by simple diagnostics. A lot of what I do is going into a problem and just troubleshooting. It's never a one-stop shop. It's never a one-answer solution. You literally have to go into the situation blindfoldedly and just start figuring it out. So you have to be good at troubleshooting and you definitely have to be good at brainstorming. So with that being said, there's a lot of situations where I walk into a work order, a problem, a ticket, what have you. There's a lot of times when I walk into those situations and I just have no clue what's going on. What's the best thing to do? Go right to your phone. Going back to what I said earlier, it's amazing that we have internet on our phone because 20 years ago, the technicians, when you walked into a problem and you didn't know how to fix it, you literally went back to the office, cracked open the books, and spent an hour or two reading your books and reading your research until you found out what was wrong. Not trying to be funny here, you would be amazingly surprised to see how many work orders I went into. I had no clue what was going on. I literally stepped outside and Googled it. Within all about 5 to 10 minutes, I had my answer. Yes, you have to siphon through, some iffy videos and some iffy information, but for the most part, you always do find some information that's useful out there. So technology, some people use it as entertainment, some people use it for informational purposes, and some people use it for business. So I personally think it has a lot of uses. In reference to my field, maybe not so much as another field would have, like maybe an IT person or maybe a logistical analysis or something like that. Somebody that's in IT, someone that does logistical analysis, technology would be much more detrimental toward them than it would be in my field. However, in my field, in the departments that it could help out, I do think it could help out extremely well, just like the examples that I just gave you. So, in closing, I think that technology and innovation is a good thing. I think that it will help everybody. While it may hurt other people in reference to layoffs and people may have to worry about their jobs, being taken by AI, that's just something that comes with the territory here, unfortunately. So that's just something that we're always, all of us are just going to have to live with and most importantly, work around. So again, in closing, I think that technology and the innovation of technology is a good thing. as long as we don't become too dependent on it. I'm not a fan of people becoming dependent on technology or anything like that, because then it gets to the point to where you're incapable of doing the simple things. A calculator is a perfect example. There are some people that have become completely reliant on a calculator. They can't do simple math. It's sad but true. So, again, I digress, but I think technology and the innovation of technology is going to be a good thing. I'm excited to see where we go over the next 30 years or something along those lines. So, we'll see. So, in closing, that's all I have to say. Thanks for watching, and I appreciate your guys' time. Have a good evening.